Today I'm going to talk about what Beatitudes is and what it is not. But first, it really helps when we read the Bible that we read it through a spiritual lens and not just a physical lens. It sounds straightforward, but so many people get this mixed up in so many ways. For example, when Jesus told the Pharisees that he was going to destroy the temple and build it up in 3 days, he was not talking about a physical temple that he was going to build up. He was talking about his body and the church, okay? Just like pastors can't get through their heads that the church is not a building, but rather it's people. The church is inside of us, okay? God is inside of us. This is the temple. Just like when Jesus in John 6, he said that you must eat of his body and drink of his blood. Well, he wasn't talking about physically, like the Catholics believe that you got to physically eat him. They're viewing it with carnal, material eyes, okay? But he's talking about spiritually. And just like in the Lord's Prayer, when he says, give us this day our daily bread, he's not talking about physical bread. He's not talking about give us food. He's talking about give us this day our daily bread. Jesus is the bread of life. He's saying, give us this day Jesus, okay? So many people get this mixed up, and it's no different in Beatitudes. People try to read it from a carnal mindset. And a lot of this comes from Luke's version of Beatitudes, where it just stops. It says, blessed are the poor, blessed are the hungry, blessed are those who weep. So it just stops right there, and people think, right away they're thinking, through a material lens. Blessed are the poor, like financially poor, and blessed are those who are physically hungry. But that's not what Jesus was talking about at all. He's talking about spiritual things, okay? We really have to get that. If we go through Beatitudes, you really have to get that all the Beatitudes are not talking about physical things. They're talking about spiritual, okay? They're spiritually discerned. Okay, and another thing is that we have to be really mindful that Beatitudes is a checklist, okay? It's a checklist. It's a description of a true Christian. Okay, it's not like, well, I'm like 5 out of 9 of these. Okay, so I'm doing pretty good. I'm okay in being meek, but not so much as being a peacemaker, or I'm good in this area. No. It's not like that at all. It's not a list that you go through and you get a passing grade. This is a description of a Christian in the same way that you would explain to somebody what a duck looks and sounds like. You'd say, well, a duck flies. It has feathers, it has webbed feet, it has a beak, it quacks. If one of these things a duck didn't possess, something would be majorly wrong, something would be off, right? In the same way, Beatitudes is a description of what a true Christian is supposed to look like. So if we're missing one of these things, it's not like, well, I did pretty good, I got most of them right. It's not like that at all. It's saying that this is a Christian, okay? It's very important that we get that. And you're saying, well, I don't know if I believe you on that. Well, let's just look at it, okay? It says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Well, only Christians get the kingdom of heaven, right? It goes on to say, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Well, who inherits the earth? Atheists? No, this is talking about Christians. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Christians receive mercy. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Who are called sons of God? These are only true Christians. Okay, so this is all these things in this list are characteristics of a Christian. If you're lacking any one of these, something's majorly wrong. Okay? Now, with that out of the way, let's just look at the first one, poor in spirit. Okay? What does this mean? People often wonder what this means. It means a contrite and broken spirit, okay? And I'm going to go through Isaiah to show you that. Isaiah 57:15, it says, I dwell in the high and holy place. This is God saying, I dwell in the high and holy place, and also with him who is of a contrite and lowly spirit. Isaiah 66:2, he says, but this is the one to whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite in spirit and trembles at my word. Psalms 51:17. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit and a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. See, this is just like the Pharisees and the tax collector in that story that was told where, the Pharisees goes up and says, well, thank goodness I'm not like this guy. But then the tax collector says he couldn't even look up to heaven, and he was beating his breast and saying, God, have mercy on me, for I'm a sinner. Okay, this is what it means to be poor in spirit. You realize that you're a sinner, and you realize how far you are from a perfect and holy God. And you're not okay with it. Okay, you're broken. And it says that this is who God dwells with. People who are broken over their sin. Okay, this is who he's going to look to. All right, now, mourn. Blessed are those who mourn. Now, this one is where you're going to try to say, if you're not careful, you're going to look at it through a carnal lens. But again, these are all spiritual. So blessed are those who mourn. It's not talking about blessed are those who mourn because something bad happened to them. Even though, yes, absolutely, does God comfort us in times of trouble? Absolutely. I'm not saying that he doesn't. If something bad happens to us, he's there for us. He's the comforter, right? But this is not what this is talking about. These are all spiritual things, okay? So what is he talking about then when he says, blessed are those who mourn? Mourn over what? He's talking about mourning over sin. Okay, let me just show you James 4:8-9. It says, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Be wretched and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy to gloom. This is just like the woman who came up to Jesus, and she was crying so profusely that it was just drenching Jesus' feet, and she was wiping his feet with her hair. And she was so broken over her sin that she couldn't even say a word. She was just crying, and it was just soaking his feet. Okay, this is what it means to be broken over your sin. Have you come to a point where you have been so broken over your sin that all you could do is just cry? This, again, is a true Christian. Okay? Somebody who has mourned over their sin. And not even just once. Listen, I've done this many times since becoming a Christian. Mourn over, not only recognizing my state of just being before a holy God, but also mourning for the sins of others. Have you ever mourned for the sins of others, for other people's salvation? Does this describe you? Again, these are characteristics of a Christian. Okay, it's not like we get to have 5 out of 9 of these or whatever. Have you truly been broken over your sin to a point where you just couldn't do anything else but just weep? If not, you may not have put on Christ, as Paul said. You may not have been born again. Okay? Now, let's go on. It says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Okay? Think about it this way. Again, it's not talking about those who hunger and thirst, but hunger and thirst for spiritual things, for righteousness. Okay? Think about this. If you are hungry and thirsty in the physical world, you need to eat every day, right? And when you're hungry, you need something. And this is the analogy that he uses for righteousness. Do you live every day hungering for God, hungering for righteousness? Does this describe you? Okay, do you hunger for obedience to God, for righteousness? Would you consider yourself one who thirsts for this? I mean, you've been really thirsty where you were just, you've gone a long time out in the hot sun with no water, and you would do anything for a glass of water. Does this describe you towards righteousness? Is this how bad you want righteousness? And then it says, blessed are those who are pure in heart. Okay? This reminds me of Hebrews 12:14, where it says, strive for peace with everyone and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. It says, blessed are those who are pure in heart, for they shall see God. Are you pure in heart? Is there some kind of secret sin or something that you're holding back, some area of your life that you're holding back from God? and hoping that, he's just okay with that. This is not a true Christian. A true Christian has surrendered everything to God. Okay? This is just a description of a Christian. They don't have secret hidden sins that they're hoping nobody finds out, or they're hoping that God's okay with. True Christians are pure before God. Okay, they consecrate themselves. If there's anything standing in the way of their relationship with God, they'll do anything. Just like earlier said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. They're hungry for it. They're hungry for rooting out those things in their life that keep them from the presence of God. Okay, and lastly, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Okay, does this describe you? Are you being persecuted for the way you live? Are you being persecuted for righteousness? Are you living in such a way before people that, just like Jesus, they want to persecute you for it? Are they persecuting you because of the way you live and how you speak? Again, do all these things describe you? If not, it's so important to, like Paul said, to test yourself to make sure that you're in the faith. Seriously, I want to ask you, when is the last time you've wept over your sin? Do you even remember doing that? When's the last time you've wept for the lost? There have been times in my walk where I've just broke down and just cried, and it's like I couldn't stop, because God, the presence of God, was just hitting me in a way and just bringing me to that point. It's not something that you just conjure up. It's something that's given to God as you continue to seek Him. But my question is, have these things happened to you? Are you being persecuted for living a holy life? Is your heart pure before God? Are you merciful to others? Are you considered to be a peacemaker? These are things that you need to look at seriously and evaluate. Do I have all these characteristics? Does this describe me? And if not, you need to get in your prayer room and cry out to God that He blesses you with these things.